This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good evening to one and all present over here. So without making much delay, I'm just going to start the session. So before I start the session, I am really I really beg a pardon because there is some delay in the workshop because of some technical issues what we faced from both the side, the company and from my side, where we couldn't able to make it. And before I start the session, I would like to thank Grey Hat Technologies Bangalore, who is organizing this particular event, and for their external effort, what they made in the technical aspects. So today we have almost 1,000+ participants who are participating in this event. So most of them, like it has been divided into number of rooms. So where each and every room has their own capacity. So that is the reason I ask students not to share your IDs because the capacity is very less. If something goes wrong, again we need to take back entire session. So that is a problem. So before I start, once again, I thank the Grey Hat Technologies for their extendable support on the technological platform creation to make this event success. And I also thank Mr. Sri, who is the director of Grey Hat Technologies Bangalore. And I also feel proud because he is my student. So and he started his own company today, and he is running very successfully for last 5 years in Bangalore. So Grey Hat Technologies basically they are into software development and robot process automation, and they are also into providing internships, providing the projects for the students. So they started as a project providing institute. They grown like a software company. They are providing internships as well. So it's my privilege to work with Grey Hat Technologies directly or indirectly for last 3 to 4 years, where we are working on a single platform to ensure the students are going to get the knowledge. See, it will be a mistake if I don't mention this point. See, the reason we collected the 100 rupees registration fee or what we are collecting from the students, it is not going to be just like 100 rupees. We just want to avoid the students, those who are not interested, because when we say free, everyone is participating. So there we are facing so many big issues. So that's why we just put a small fees so that it won't be a burden. It will be taken care for the logistics, not more than that. So without making much delay, so without making any kind of no disturbance for all the participants who is attending today, almost 1,000 participants are attending for this session in different rooms, right? Different rooms through GoToMeeting. So we'll start the session. So the main agenda of this session for next 3 days, today, tomorrow, and day after tomorrow, is to provide you a hands-on experience on the database. So we'll start from the basics of database, from what is database, till you become master in the database as per your requirement of the industry. I'm assuring you guys within next 3 days, whatever I'm going to say or whatever I'm going to train, if you could able to make it practice, if you could able to make it understand, you will be the master in database management system or database. So why we have chosen MySQL? As I said, it is sponsored by the Grey Hat Technologies, one of the software firm. So the suggestion has been given by the developers who is working with Grey Hat Technologies, because most of the organizations today they are moving towards the MySQL. And once you are familiar with the MySQL, working with any other database is not a big deal. Once you are familiar with the MySQL, working with any other database is not a big deal. So that is the reason we are going with the MySQL. See, the session is going to be 3 days, as I mentioned. So every day it will start by 4 o'clock. It will end by 5:30 to 6 o'clock, in between 5:30 and 6 o'clock. So the session is going to be organized like this. So the day one, we are going to talk about basics of database management systems. So why we are going for the database? What are the career opportunities available in the database? So who should choose the database as a career opportunity? What are the qualities they are looking at? And I'm also going to talk what are the different roles available in the databases. Then we'll go with the practicals. So starting from the installation. So I'm going to show you a tool which will be helpful for you to practice MySQL from the scratch. So I'll show the installation. I'll show how to work with that tool. And then we'll start with the queries, how to write the queries with respect to MySQL. how to create a database, how to create a table, etc., etc., etc. Then we'll work with the tables. We'll work on the different queries which we are going to use for the next 40 years when you join as a software developer in any of the organization. Then we'll start with the different concepts which we are going to use in the databases, like procedures, logs, and also how to restore the databases, and what are the different databases available in the market. What are the different databases available in the market, and which one is having the highest priority when it comes to the job market. So that we are going to see. And also I'm going to talk a little bit about what might be the interviewer is going to expect from you guys with respect to database management systems. So this is going to be our agenda. I'll make sure that I'm going to put all my efforts to make you understand to the maximum level this database management system, which will be helpful for you to build your career as a database administrator or a database developer. So without making much delay, I'm just going further. So as name indicates, the database management system. What is this database management system? Why we are talking about the database management system, right? So before going to see what is database management system, I want to give you some glimpse, some real-time scenarios why today we are conducting this workshop. What is the need it has created to conduct this workshop? So you can see on the screen, everyone. So data is the future. The data is going to be the future. This is not something which I am telling as an assistant professor or as a professor in an engineering college. This is the statement given by the people who are working in the industry. This is a statement given by these people who are working in the industry, especially in the databases. So the data is going to be the future of any organization. Without data, we are not going to sustain in the market. Without data, we are not going to sustain in the market. See, today, if you take the scenario, maybe like 5 or 10 years back, 5 to 10 years back, everyone is telling Java developer, everyone is telling C developer, everyone is telling C++ developer. But today, if you ask anybody in the industry, hey, I want to pursue career as a data scientist, I want to work in big data, I want to work in cloud computing, I want to work with the database concepts, right? So everyone is talking about the data. Why they are talking about data? Because the priority has been increased like that. The need has been increased like that. So that is the reason everyone is today talking about data. On the screen, you can see different databases or data sources which we have to store our data. So we have IBM DB2, we have Adabas, we have Firebird, we have Interbase, we have Informix, we have PostgreSQL, we have MySQL, we have Jobs, Sybase, SQLite, SQL Server, SAP Database, Oracle. So many key players, so many people they are providing these databases. As I said, why we have chosen especially MySQL is it is open source. Most of the companies they are using MySQL, and apart from that, the new databases which are coming into the market are developed based on the MySQL features. So if you are thorough with the MySQL, working with any other database is not going to be a problem. So that is the reason we have chosen the MySQL. Going further, you can see here how the growth. So initially the traffic is very less. So this has been the statistics taken from 1990 to 2008. How many websites has been developed? Why we are taking websites here? Websites is nothing but these many companies are going, these many people are using the data. These many people require the databases. These many people looking for the employees who can work on the database. You can see the count in the left side, how it has been drastically increased. It's keep on increasing today. Keep on increasing. This is up to 2008. You can see about today 2020 where we are. It is keep on increasing. There is no control on these particular statistics, right? So that's why we just put this data. Then what companies are thinking about? So every company today they want to become data driven. Every company they want to have their own database developers. Every company want to have their own database center or data center. Every company want to work with this data, play with this data. work with this data and play with this data. That is what company is looking at. See, these are the few major players or key players I put. Actually, there are so many key players who is working with this. You talk about Facebook, everything is working on the data. You talk about Twitter, everything is data. Google, data. Microsoft, data. Oracle, data. Any company for that sake. You coin any company, so they are working on data today. Every company, you take Amazon Cloud, yes. You take Google Cloud, yes. You take Microsoft Azure, yes. And as most of you know, Google is one of the best company. You can take it as an example who is working with the database. Because today Google data centers could able to produce petabytes of data every day. Petabytes of data every day. So guys, the data is going to be the future. The data is going to have a very good future for the fresh engineers who is going to come out of the campus, who is going to come out of the campus. So I don't say, sir, if we know Java, if we know Python, are we not going to sustain in the market? I'm not talking about it, because that is a different vertical. I'm talking about the students who want to make career in the database. Who want to make career in the database, they can choose without any problem or without any fear. You can choose database field as your career. That is what I'm talking about, right? So before I go further, I have a question for all of you. So if you know the answer, you can type in the chat box and send it to me. So how many bytes or how much data is Facebook is producing every day? How much data is Facebook is producing every day? Any guess or any idea? This is for all of you. Anyone can answer. How much data is produced by the Facebook? So how much data is produced by the Facebook? Any idea? Anyone? Or just guess how much? So one friend is telling 1 petabyte. So one friend is telling 4 petabytes. One friend is telling 300 gigabytes. So one more friend is telling zettabytes. Okay, how many zettabytes? So one is telling 1 zettabyte. Okay, see, today if you see, we have reached to the maximum level of data. Rahul is telling terabytes. Okay, the maximum unit of calculating data is yottabytes. Yottabytes, right? So as someone said rightly, today Facebook is producing every day 300 petabytes of data. 300 petabytes of data. So 300 petabytes of data is nothing but, if you want to store that data in a physical format, if you want to store that data in a physical format, so you required on an average of 100 acres land. 100 acres land if you have, then you can store that data. So on an average, I'm not telling exact figure, on an average, Facebook is producing 300 petabytes. Who is producing it? When I say Facebook, who is that? We are the users who are producing that data. I'm using Google, I'm using Facebook, I'm using Twitter. Every day I myself, I'm producing some GBs of data, some TBs of data. So that is where the popularity or the need for database developers has been increased. The need for the database developers has been increased. So guys, this is not going to be the one workshop. As we said, it is a series of workshops. Once you become familiar with the databases, you should also learn about the big data. You should also learn about the big data. I'm not telling please join again our workshop only. Anywhere you can learn the big data, because today industry required the people who know the database management along with the big data. You will be the master in the company. You will be given direct opportunity to work with the company, because companies are looking at it. But as a fresher, they are not taking directly onto the big data, because they are taking you as a database administrator or database developer. Then they are training on the big data and they are taking you into the industry. But if you already know the big data, you will be the additional point you are going to get when you go for the organization. So that is how it is going to work. So guys, what I mean to say in this particular slide is, every company today becoming data driven company. Every company, you coin any company, they are data driven company, right? So as I said, the world is driven by data every day. So this class, I'm going to talk much about the how to use and manage the data. And so the data is growing each and every day. So the industries required engineers like you people who could able to manage this data, who could is able to manipulate this data, who could able to analyze this data, who could able to play with the data. So that is where your big data come into the picture along with the database management systems. So the database management system is the first step, data mining is the second step, and big data is the third step. So if you prepare like this, you will be the master in the company. So no one will say no for your job profile. So they'll be happy to give you the job. So, so this is what I'm talking about. So the more data, more burden for the engineers. The more data you are getting, the more burden you are going to face. Why you are going to face more burden? As I said, more data. You need to store all the data. So that might be machine generated, or it might be social networking data. It might be some solutions which we are getting, some community data, demographic data, whatever it is. There is no limit. It might be images, it might be videos, it might be text, it might be numbers, it might be characters, whatever it is. The data is increasing. So now why companies are looking at database developers? They want effective and smarter ways to achieve. They want effective and smarter ways to achieve and plan this data to analyze it for further use. Analyze it for further use. That is what I'm telling, data science. I don't know how many of you know what is data science. Data science is not something to do with sciences, physical science or chemical science. Data science is nothing but the engineers are going to regenerate or re-engineer the data as per the requirements of the company. As per the requirements of the company, we are going to work on the data. You need to organize it, you need to analyze it, you need to manipulate it, you need to modify it, and you need to give end result which is essential for an industry. See, today I'll tell you one small example. All of us, we are using Google. Everyone is using Google, right? Everyone is having Google Maps in our mobile phone. Without your notice, without your notice, Google will be telling where you are now, right? You will be getting a message, hey, you reached so and so mall. What is the status of that mall? That mall is good. Do you have a parking place over there, or do you have a physically handicapped people can drive into that place, right? All these questions are coming. Did you ever ask Google, hey, please ask these questions when I go outside? No, you never asked it. Did Google ask your permission to get into your mobile? No. Then how? So Google is coming behind you. Google is coming behind you because as per the TROI, or as per the mobile developer or mobile hardware developer rules and regulations. So the Google has a right to get into your mobile to track each and every activity what you are doing. If you switch off the internet, again you switch it on, later you come to know that you have traveled this place. So that's how the data science is working today. That's how the data is played or calculated today. So to give an example, one more best example I could tell you before going further. Suppose you go to Flipkart or you go to Amazon, you search for one product. You go to Flipkart or Amazon, search for one product and come back to your Facebook. So whatever you searched in the Flipkart or Amazon will be available here, telling that hey, some offer is going on. This product you searched in the Flipkart, do you really want to buy it? We'll give you some discount. So that is how the data science is working today. That is how artificial intelligence, big data, all these concepts came. For all this latest concept, the base is going to be database. Without database, you cannot do anything, right? So that is how the data world we are today. We are driven by the data world, right? So I'm, as I said, like some students who attended my Python workshop also, I'm very much practical person. I talk everything very practically. I don't want to talk something like theoretically saying that hey, you do that, you will get job. Hey, you go and study IAS, you will become IAS officer immediately within 6 months. No, not possible. So why you need to study database today? Today's scenario, why you need to study database? Because you can make so much of money compared to other fields. You can make so much of money compared to other fields. Especially startups need you guys like anything. Most of the startups, they need you. If you know the big data, you are the king for that startup. You are the king for that startup. And it is a massive industry. There is no limitation. As I said, every company today talking about database. Every company requires database developers. Every company requires database administrators. Every company requires database support. Every company requires database to be installed. Every company want to play with the data. This is one of the massive industry what you have today, right? Then, what is the intellectual point with respect to databases? Why you need to choose? Because we have huge data today in the market. The poor data, when I say poor data, it is nothing but unorganized data. To the rich data, it is nothing but organized data. For example, I'll tell you one funniest example here. Whenever you're talking to your friends through WhatsApp, you will be telling, if someone asks question, right? What is that whom? Is it having any meaning? No. Some people will say HMM, some people will say HM, some people will say HMMMMM. So which one is correct now? We don't know. So that is called unorganized way of data or poor data, right? But when you want to call your friend, or when you want to put some word like Apple, Apple is going to be APPLE, which is an organized word or organized data. So you need to handle both the data. You need to handle unorganized data, organized data. That is where your intellectual will come into the picture. That is where your intellectuality comes into the picture, right? So basically, industry required massive engineers. Massive industry required massive engineers, right? So basically, what is happening? Problem here is most of the computer science students, most of the information science students, they will be having fundamental ideas about database, not more than that. They know theory, they know what is database system, what is theory of it, what is AI, what is logic, what is etc. etc. Right? So that is only not sufficient to start this career. So you should have a very good idea to start with the databases, and you need to train your system to work with the databases. You need to train your system also to work with the databases, because today we are in the machine learning, artificial intelligence world. So you need to train your systems also to think like you, to work with the databases, right? So why DBMS? As I said, so used in almost all modern settings involved in the database management, like every company, you take business, you take research, you take administration, any field for that sake, the database is used. That is the reason we are talking about database today. It's a massive industry. You go from the saloon shop to the big company like Google, everywhere database is being used. Everywhere the database is used, right? So just give me a second, I'll be back. Just 1 second. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. So everywhere database management system is used. So I don't know how many of you know the SAP company. The SAP is basically from Germany. SAP is basically from Germany. In Germany, SAP is used in saloon shops to the big IT companies to maintain their data. To maintain their data. But SAP little bit costly in India. That's why we are not using it. But still, the day will come where everything will be automized. Everything will be e-sources. Your saloon wala will have direct login, direct payment, book the appointment somewhere and come back. And today you can see, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, everything is becoming online. I don't know how many of you observed yesterday. There is a big news article which is coming up, especially in the no, southern India states of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. If you want to go to saloon shop, you need to book the appointment before using your Aadhaar number. Using your Aadhaar number, we need to book the appointment. Then we need to go take the appointment and go to the saloon shop, right? To reduce number of corona cases, they are taking this initiation. So tomorrow everything will become database. So that's why you need to study database. You can see here one example today. What is the example? So previously, if you go to one matchmaking site, if you want to search, or if you go to Facebook, or if you go to LinkedIn, you want to search like-minded people, it will be very difficult. But today, just with one checkbox, I'm looking for male or female, I'm looking for any gender, who is single or who is in a relation, who is married, open for marriage, unknown status, then simply you are going to get the data. Simply you are going to get the data, right? So how it is possible? Is it something created by the God? No. The young engineers, the innovative engineers like you people who created all this system using the database management system. So that is where database plays very key role in the industry, right? Other ways where we are going to get the data. So you have shopping websites where you are getting the data. You have the transactions which are happening through your ATMs, kiosk machines, not only ATM, any kiosk machines, and telephone. Today it is mobile phones also we are getting, through televisions we are getting, right? So different ways we are going to get the data. We need to handle all this data without saying no for single piece of information. You cannot say that, hey, I cannot handle the data. You should handle the data, because when you handle the data, then only you come to know what is the status or what is the further decision we should take, right? So this is how the data has been worked. So here is one of the pioneers of big data. The pioneers of big data is Google, because today Google is having a huge data set. As all of us know, Google is playing with the data, playing with user data. So as per recent article, you might have seen, so many people, they started uninstalling TikTok. Somehow they said, hate China, some tweet is going on, so everyone started giving negative impact about TikTok. Then TikTok proved that it wantedly they did it. So within span of 3 minutes, Google has removed 4.5 billion tweets or 4.5 billion feedbacks which has been given by the Indians for the TikTok in Google Play Store. So that's how Google is working with the data. That's how is Google working with the data. So when every Indian has given, most of the Indians has given TikTok negative feedback, the rating has come down to 1.3. But when they removed within 3 minutes all 4.5 billion tweets, it has been come to again 4.1. So anything is possible with the data. That's what I want to say. Whether it is TikTok or any application, I'm not talking about it, because I'm not supposed to talk about that. That is something different category. I'm talking about data. So Google is one of the pioneers in the big data. Now, so this is about the background, why you need to study database management system, how the database is working in the industry, what they are looking from your side. Now we'll go for the what exactly meant by database management system. A database management system. So the database management system is a software, or it is an application which is a large and integrated collection of data, which is very big, very large, and it is an integrated collection of data. So what kind of data it is going to have? It is going to have all the real world data. It is going to have a real world data. So when I say real world data, there will be entities, there will be relations amongst the entities, right? So what is the entities? Anything which you can able to correlate with the relationships, they are called entities. So example is students, courses. So what is relations? So the relation is the student has been enrolled to computer science course in so and so college. So enrolled is the relation, right? So we are going to see a little more depth about this later. So basically, what is database management system? I want all of you to remember this definition, because when you go for the placement also, they'll ask this definition. So what is database management system? It is a piece of software designed to store and manage the databases. It's a piece of software. It is just a software which is designed to store and manage the databases. To store and manage the databases. Or if you want to say much more clear and simple definition to remember for yourself, a database management system is a software to store and manipulate the data. To store and manipulate the data. So that is called database management system. So database management system is nothing but it is a software which we use to store and manipulate the data. Or you can also say that this definition, it is a piece of software designed to store and manage the databases. So how it is going to work? There will be users. So there will be one database application, because through these applications, these users are going to enter the data. There will be a DBMS software which will be taking this data and storing in the database. Storing in the database, right? I'll tell you one small example here. So you are the users. So Facebook is the application we are using. So when you put something in the Facebook, so that will go to their DBMS software. If they are using MySQL. If they are using Oracle, or etc. etc. Once it reaches here, then it will go to their physical server, physical database server. What is their physical database server? It is nothing but data center. It is nothing but data center where they are going to store the data. So it is how the database management system is going to work. So the database management system is going to be the a middle layer between the users and the database. Users and the database. So the database management system is a middle layer between users and database, right? So this is how it is going to be designed. So you need to design a database management system software which should work with the users as well as with the physical database to get the data back. So you can see here how the environment is going to be. There will be, see, this is a technical stuff which I am talking, because for your interview it will be very useful, very easy to answer the questions. So there will be users or programmers who is working with this. There will be one application program. So how the application program is going to work? With the help of queries. We are going to see these queries. Queries will be there, and there will be a DBMS software. This is going to be your DBMS software, through which we are going to take the queries, process the data, and then store it in the databases. Store it in the databases. So there are two types of data. This is the original data or master data. There will be a metadata, which is something like your temporary data. It will be having only definitions of the data, right? So this is going to be original database. Or you can have single database where you are going to put all the data into the database management system. So this is how the entire database system will be looks like. So there will be user or programmer, there will be a software, and there will be a database where we are going to push the data from our side to the database, right? So this is how it is going to work. So yeah, so any questions till now you can ask. We'll go further. Before going further, any questions, please type in the chat box and you can ask. I'll be happy to answer. I'll pause for a minute. Any question you have, you can ask. So I'll be just going on. Any questions are there, you type in the chat box. I'll be answering those questions. We got some questions. We'll see further. As of now, no questions. We'll take it further. Like if I get any questions, yeah, someone has come. Please explain the diagram one more time. Okay, fine. I'll do that. So this is one of the simple diagram, simplified database system. That's why we mentioned it as simplified. It is nothing but there will be a users or programmers. So users or programmers are nothing but the end users. See, for Facebook, we are all the end users. Facebook employees will be the programmers. So there will be there, and there will be an application program which they will be using internally in their company. Internally in their company, they will be using. If not, we are using the Facebook to store our data, right? To store our data. So how the Facebook is going to store it? So internally, Facebook is going to use one DBMS software like MySQL or Oracle or IBM DB2. Then it will process your data. It will process your data and it will store that data into the physical locations. Physical locations. Because see, in your Facebook, if you have created account 5 years back or 3 years back, you might have consumed some petabytes of data. As an individual, you might have consumed some petabytes of data. You cannot store all those data in your mobile phone, right? It should be stored in the Facebook server. So that will be done by your DBMS software, and you will be the programmer or user who is going to use Facebook application to store all your data. So this is how it is going to work. Sir, can you elaborate a little bit on the DBMS softwares? That I'll talk, no problem. So what is metadata from this side? See, metadata is nothing but data about data. Data about data. What is metadata? I'll tell you now. See the definition, please. I want all of you to remember. I forgot to tell here. Thank you, Hamza, for a very good question. So the metadata is nothing but data about data. Data about data. For example, I have a Facebook account. I want to store something about my profile pic. Profile pic I want to store. So what it will do is, for that profile pic, it will create one ID. And based on this ID, it will store it here. Tomorrow, when I want to search that particular Facebook profile pic, so it won't search here. Directly, it will go and see first whether really I stored some profile pic or not. If I stored it, then it will fetch from here. So it is going to be data about the data. The original data, basic information will be available here. That is called metadata. Hope I am clear. Metadata is nothing but data about data. So there is another question. So what is meant by queries or programs here? So that we will see when we go for practicals. I'll tell you what is meant by programs or queries, which we are going to use for the DBMS. DBMS, what we are going to use. Yeah. So no other questions as of now. If I forget, I'll answer. Okay. So before going to start much about the database management system, I just want to show you one example how the entities and relationships will be. So entities are nothing but the real world objects are called entities. The real world objects are called entities. I want to remember this definition also, very important for your interview. Entities are nothing but real world objects. What are the real world objects? Everything here in the real world is an object. It might be a student, it might be course, professor, mobile phone, landline phone, vehicle, toy, belt, shoe, wallet. Everything in the real world is an entity. Every real world object is called as entity. The relationship is nothing but amongst the entities, how we are going to communicate to each other is called relation. Amongst the entities, how we are going to communicate with each other is called relationship, right? So entity is a real world object. Please remember the definition. Entity is an real world object. Relationship is nothing but the relation amongst the entities. So for example, here we have taken entities as students, courses, professors. What might be the relation? Which professor takes what subject to the students, or which course is taught by which professor. So there will be some relation we need to create, that will be done with the relationships. So again, I'm repeating the definition, very important definition. Three definitions or two definitions we have seen here. First, we have seen what is database management system. It is a software to manipulate or to store and manipulate the data. Next is metadata, data about the data. Third is entities. Entities is nothing but real world objects. Fourth is relationships. Relationship is nothing but the relation amongst the entities. Amongst the entities is called relationships, right? Yeah. So before going further, so these are the different types of databases which are available in the market as of today. We have Cassandra, we have Salesforce, we have Business Objects, we have Sybase, we have MongoDB, we have DynamoDB, we have MySQL, we have HBase, we have Ingress, right? We have Greenplum, Sybase, Azure, Informix, Postgre, SQL Anywhere, Vertica, Access, Netenza, Hive, SQL Yogi, SQL Server. So many databases are available today in the market, but mostly used database is MySQL. So previously it is Oracle, but now Oracle acquired MySQL. Previously MySQL is an open source. Now also it is open source, but Oracle has been acquired MySQL. So that is the reason most of the companies they are using the MySQL database, right? Then, so just we'll see some definitions, some important key points about the database. Then we'll go for the practicals. So few things you should know about it is, so what kind of data models we are going to use. What kind of data models we are going to use. So there will be two types of schemas which will be available in the database. One is called logical schema. Second one is called physical schema. Logical schema and physical schema. See, logical schema is nothing but it is just going to be created logically. So physically it is not going to available. It is created logically. Physical schema is nothing but where we are going to store the data physically in the database management system. So physically, when you store the data in the database management system, then it is called physical schema. If you want to perform some operations on the physical schema, then we'll use the logical schema. And each and every schema is independent to each other. There is no relation amongst the physical and logical schema or logical and physical schema. They will work independent to each other, right? So schema is nothing but the way of storing the data. The way of storing the data. It is called schema. The way of storing the data is called schema, right? So basically, there is three types of schemas which we are going to use. One is called external schema. Next is called conceptual schema. Third one is called internal schema. External schema, conceptual schema, or and internal schema. It is also called as views: external view, conceptual view, internal view. So in your exam or in your interview, if the interviewer asks what are the different types of schemas available, there are three types of schemas available for the database. One is called external schema, conceptual schema, and internal schema. But actually there are majorly two types. One is called physical schema, second one is called logical schema. Physical schema is nothing but physically we are going to store the data in the database. Logical schema is nothing but we are going to perform some logical operations on the physical schema, then it is called logical schema. And both physical schema, logical schema are independent to each other. There won't be any kind of relation, right? So that is how it will be. Now we'll see an example so that you can easily understand. See, you can see here, this is internal view, which is also called as physical schema. This is a physical schema. Why it is physical schema? I am storing the data physically into my database. What I am storing? I am storing ID, name, address, street, and city. What type it is? It is byte of size some 8, byte of size 8, byte of 20. See, byte is nothing but like your integer. Like your integer, we are calling it here byte. So this is physically what we are storing in the database, which is called as physical schema. It is also called as internal schema of the database. Then we have conceptual view. What is conceptual view? See, this data is required only for the database developers. Database developers want to know what is the size you have given. Whereas coming to here, for him, he doesn't really require what is the size you have given. He just want to know whether name I can store data, integer or character or varchar. Varchar is nothing but both integer and character, variables and character. Variables and character. So this is called conceptual schema. See, internal schema is mainly for the developers where they could able to see each and every information about the data which we are storing. This is conceptual schema for the users. On top of it, we are going to write the logical schema, which is called external schema. What is the logical schema? For the user one, I want the name and city. Whereas for the user two, I want ID, name and address. So based on your requirement, you are going to fetch the data from this schema, conceptual schema. So when you require something, you call the conceptual schema. Conceptual schema will talk to the internal schema or physical schema and it will fetch the data. It will fetch the data. So I'll tell you one small example so that you can understand. See, we are using Gmail. So we have stored so many mails in our Google Mail or Gmail. Everything is stored in the Google Gmail server or Google server, right? So how it is stored? We don't know because we can able to see only conceptual schema. What is conceptual schema for your email? From where it has come, when it has come, who sent it, what is the who sent it, when they sent it, right? So basically we require that data. Internally how it is stored, whether it is stored as an integer, whether it is stored as varchar, what is the format, that I don't know. This is called physical schema. The mail which we see called as conceptual schema. Out of that, when you want to access particular mail which you received from so and so user, then it is called as external view or conceptual schema. So this is how three schemas has been designed in a database, right? So please try to digest this. This is little bit confusing, but still you can understand. So there is one question, we'll take it further. Is conceptual a logical schema, sir? No, conceptual is not logical schema because in conceptual schema data will be stored, entire data will be available. entire data will be available in the conceptual schema. Whereas in logical schema, whichever data you require, you will be taking that. Whichever data you require, you will be taking that. I'll just show you one example so that you can easily understand. So I'm just going here where we'll do one thing. So I'll just go here. I'll open my Gmail. I'll open my Gmail. Please try to understand, very simple. I'll open my Gmail account. Yeah, this is my new mail ID. I don't have anything. I'll take one old mail ID so that you can understand. Yeah. So let me log in into my another email ID. See, DBMS practicals is very important. At the same time, theory also very important. Theory also very important because the interview questions will be there in the theory also. Whereas if you take Java and Python, only programming, if you know, that is sufficient. But here it is not going to be the scenario. Here it is not going to be the scenario. You should know basics, theory, definitions, then practicals. So I just came back here. This is my Gmail. You can see at the left side in my inbox, I have 18,249 mails which I have not read. I have 18,249 mails which I have not read. So where these are storing? Where these mails are storing? So these mails are stored in somewhere Google server. These mails are stored somewhere in Google server. That is what I'm calling internal view. That I doesn't know. Only Google know about it. Then, so here if I see, I could able to see from where this mail has come. So what is the content of it? When they send it, date. So this is called conceptual view. This is called conceptual view. This is called conceptual view. Now what is logical view? Out of this, if I go here and if I say I want only unread, whichever I have not read, I want that. So you can see here. So logically it is giving me that data. If not, I'll go and say I want the mails which are starred. So I don't have any star mails, so it is not showing anything, right? Or I'll go here. I want to make all these 18,249 as mark as read. I'll say mark all as read. Now you can see in this space 94 conversations as marked as read. Again, if I want to undo it, I can undo it. So that means the data will be stored, which is in the Google server is called physical or internal schema. On top of it, whatever we are seeing is called conceptual schema. Based on the given data, if you want to extract something, then that is called logical schema. That is called logical schema. So this is how the three schemas has been designed in our database management system. So people will be using different names, but these are the default names which we can use, right? Any questions in this slide, please ask. Then we'll go further. Any questions in this slide you can ask. Sir, can we combine logical schema and physical schema? No, you cannot combine logical schema, physical schema. They are independent to each other. That's what I'm telling. They are independent to each other. You cannot combine both of them. Sir, every database will have all these three schemas. Yes, every database which we are going to create will be having all these three schemas. So any other questions I'll be taking further. I'll be seeing to it. I'll be answering. So what are the main functions of DBMS? These are the main functions. I want all of you to take one pick or remember these things, very important for your interview. They'll ask what are the functionalities of DBMS. What are the functionalities of DBMS? First one is data management. When you want to store, retrieve and modify some data, you want DBMS. When you want to store, retrieve and modify some data, you want DBMS. Next, transaction support. When you want to modify, right, or when you want to transact between the data, ensure that modification to the database must be either successful or not done. So when you want to do some modifications, so whether to know whether they are successful or unsuccessful, you want DBMS. Next is concurrency control. So simultaneously providing access to the data, right? See, today, if you can see best example here itself, we are conducting for almost 1,000 students. They are seeing this data. How it is possible? Because of the concurrency control. 1000 students, they could able to see at the same time all the data which I am talking, which I am showing. Next is recovery. So suppose if you have some data, when you lose that data, you can use recovery mechanism using DBMS to retrieve that data. So best example here is when you lose some data in your mobile phone, you can have the recovery software which will help you out to get the data back. So DBMS is going to do that for you. Then security, in order to provide the access security for the users. Next is integrity. So to maintain the accurate data, to maintain the accurate data. And apart from this, we also have some utilities which will be done by the DBMS. Please remember all these things. I'm going to show you all these things in the practicals. So where we are going to do data import, export, user management, backup and recovery, performance analysis, logging, audits, etc., etc. So these are the main functions of DBMS. I'm going to show you all these things when we go for the practicals, how it is working with the DBMS. So these are the main functions of DBMS. So you can see here how it will be done. And now I'm going to talk about a concept which is very, very important for your interview as well as when you go outside, which is called relational database management system. So till now we have seen what is DBMS, what are the schemas of DBMS, what are the functionalities of DBMS. Now I'm going to talk about relational database management system. So as name indicates, the relational database management systems is nothing but in a given database, there will be some relations which we need to maintain, right? So that is called relation management database system. So before going to see the relation, I want all of you to remember some basic default terminology so that you can understand. See, the data which will be stored in the form of rows and columns is called database table. This is called database table. This is called database table. The data which is stored in this database table is called either rows or records or tuples. Either rows, records or tuples. Again, I am repeating. The data in the database management system will be stored in the form of a table, which is called database table. The data which is stored in this database table is called rows, records or tuples. Rows, records or tuples, right? Then for these rows, records or tuples, there will be some heading, some fixed heading, which is called attributes, columns or fields. Attributes, columns or fields. So the entire data elements called as tuples. The particular element represented by some heading is called attributes, columns or fields, right? So this is the another terminology. Then, so as I said, it is a relation of table. It is called as table. When you are not putting any data in a particular column, then it is taken as null data. It is taken as null data. So if you want to know how many records are available, how many data is available, then you need to calculate the number of records or rows or tuples, which is called cardinality ratio. Cardinality ratio is nothing but how much data is available, how many data elements are available. So either you can know from this or from like this. You can calculate the number of elements available in the database. Number of elements available in the database. Then what is the relation with this database? So the entire database table name is customer. The database table name is customer. The entities or the attributes in the database table are customer ID, customer name, customer type and card type. So it will be represented like this: customer followed by parenthesis. What are the fields available? That will be represented like this. So this is how relational database management system will be there. So most of our tools today which we are using in the industry are RDBMS only. All of them are RDBMS only, right? So once we store like this, then we are going to process the data. Now what is the relation here? Suppose if I know the customer ID, I can get customer name, customer type, card type. If I know the card type, I can get remaining. If I know customer type, I can get remaining. If I know customer name, I can get remaining. So this is the reason it is called as relational database management system. So that means each and every data which is stored in the database management system is having some or other way one relation with each other. So that's why it is called as relational database management system, right? So this is about the basics of relation database management system. When I go to the further, I'll talk about this. So any questions you can ask. Any doubt you can ask. What is the difference between RDBMS and DBMS? Yes. So as I said, DBMS you may have independent data, whereas in RDBMS there is no independent data. Everything will be dependent to each other. In DBMS there might be a possibility that you can have independent, but RDBMS everything will be dependent to each other. Sir, when you say null, is it zero? No. When I say null, it is not zero. When I say null, it is not zero. It will be treated as null only. Output will be NULL, not zero. Because sometimes you will use zero also, right? So that's why we won't use that. Any other questions? Okay, I'll just go in. If you have any questions, you can ask. See, I'm going very down and explaining because I want all of you to understand very clearly. If am I clear, fine. If you have any question, you can ask. Yeah. So this diagram, I don't want to talk here much. I'll come back to this diagram either today or tomorrow. I'll come back to this because if I explain now, you will be confused. So I don't want to do it. I'll do it later. Okay. So this is one more thing which you should know. Basically, I want all of you to understand these concepts. So as we have seen entity and relationships, we can represent this entity and relationships in our DBMS using ER diagram, which is called entity relationship diagram. ER diagram or entity relationship diagram. There are so many elements which we use for the ER diagram. You can see here, if you want to represent some entity, you can use this symbol. If you want to represent weak entity, you can use this symbol. When you want to represent relationship, use this symbol. If you want to represent identifying relationship, you can use this symbol. For attributes, this symbol. Key attribute, this symbol. Multi-valued attribute, this symbol. Composite attribute, this symbol. Derived attribute, this symbol. So participation of E1 in R, E1 in relation, this one. Cardinality ratio, this one. Structural constraint, minimum maximum, this one. So these are the fixed symbols. We have almost like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 fixed symbols which we are going to use to represent the entity relationship diagram or ER diagram. So using these symbols, we can represent the diagram. You can see here, I'm using student as an entity. Student is having an attribute called name. So that's why name will be represented here. Student and course are entities. What is the relation between them? Student enrolled for this course. So this is how ER diagram will be. ER diagram will be represented like this. So this ER diagram, there is no limitation. It might be of any size depending on your application. So you may ask one question, sir, why we require ER diagrams? See, ER diagrams is a pictorial representation of your database. ER diagram is a pictorial representation of your database. If someone is coming, they want to understand how you design database. Instead of seeing the entire database, they can see the ER diagram and they can easily understand. If I see this ER diagram, I can directly say that a student with some name has been enrolled for this course. So that's how I could able to say, hey, there are students also, there are some courses where they need to enroll. How they are going to enroll based on the name. So that is how the ER diagrams will help us to understand about the databases without any confusion. It is a pictorial representation of database, which is called ER diagram. I'm not talking about all these things because these are the way we are going to represent. I'll come back to ER diagram also once you understand the basics of database management system in the real world. I want all of you to remember ER diagram. Ask me either tomorrow or day after tomorrow. I'll show you the practical example how to write the ER diagram. So this is about the basics of ER diagram. See, whatever that basics I'm talking now, we'll discuss in detail next. Fine. So SQL or structured query language. See, what is MySQL, SQL? I'm telling that SQL is nothing but structured query language. What is meant by structured query language? So here in MySQL or SQL or IBM DB2, everything will be processed using queries. Queries is nothing but it is a way of representing or getting your information from the database management system. You are going to write a query. Query is nothing but something like your question. You will ask that to database management system. It will give you the information. It will be in a structured format. You cannot write query as you want. So there will be some structure we should follow. That is the reason it is called a structured query language. You should follow queries. You should apply it. Then you need to get it. Don't get confused how the query will be, how the structure will be. When you go do the practicals, you come to know about it. So basically, SQL commands has been divided into 4 types: DDL commands, DML commands, DCL commands, and TCL commands. So first we'll go one by one. So what is DDL? See, DDL is nothing but data definition language. This is very, very, very important for your interview. What is the difference between DDL and DML? They will ask. What is the difference between DDL and DML? They'll ask. So basically, there are 2 types only. These last 2 types are derived types, right? So these last DCL and TCL are derived. But basically, there are 2 types of commands in SQL: DDL and DML. So what is DDL? DDL is nothing but data definition language. Data definition language. So what is data definition language? As name indicates, when you want to define some database, when you want to create some table, when you want to do some modification on the table, right? Or when you want to describe table, when you want to rename the table, the basic definition operations will be done in the data definition language. So creation will be done here, alteration will be done here, truncation will be done here, dropping of the table, describing the table, renaming the table. So basic data definition will be done here, right? So basic operations on your table will be done in the DDL commands. So once you create the data, table, you need to insert the data, you need to update the data, you need to delete the data, you need to select the data. That will be done in the data modeling language. This is data definition language. This is data modeling language, right? So data modeling is nothing but we are going to do insertion, updation, deletion, and selection. What is the difference between DDL and DML? DDL, data definition language, is basically used to define the database. Whereas it is used to process the database. It is used for the processing the data. This is used to create the database tables. This is used to process the database. What is DCL? Data control language. Data control language. Why we require data control language? We cannot give permission to everyone. So we need to have some control on this database. Who need to use, up to what extent they need to use. That is called DCL. That is called DCL, grant and revoke. And last one is transaction control language, TCL, transaction control language. So when you want to manage some transactions, then we'll go for the transaction control language. So if you want to roll back, if you want to save some extent, up to some extent, when you want to commit something, then you will go for the TCL. So basically there are 4 types: DDL, DML, DCL, TCL. So DDL is nothing but data definition language, DML is nothing but data modeling language, DCL is nothing but data control language, TCL is nothing but transaction control language, right? So there is a language or data modeling. See, both you can call either data modeling or data manipulation, no problem. Modeling also fine, manipulation also fine. Some people will call it as manipulation, some people will call it as modeling language. Data modeling language or data manipulation language. Okay, so these are the 4 different types of queries which we are going to write in the SQL. So either it is called as data manipulation or data modeling. Why we call it as data modeling is we are going to study about one more concept, especially CSIS students, which we call it as UML, Unified Modeling Language. So that UML is going to use the concepts of DML. So that's why we'll call this data modeling language. Either it will be called as data modeling or data manipulation language. So any questions in this, you can ask. Either DDL, DML, DCL, TCL. Sir, explain once again TCL. Okay. See, TCL is nothing but transaction control language. What is transaction control language? See, once you create a database, once you create a table, you should have some control on it. What is the control? As I said in the previous example, you can see here. One second. Yeah. As I said in this example, based on customer ID, I could able to get all the data. Right? But suppose if I want to hide some data, that will be done by the TCL. So we are going to have the control on the transaction. For example, the student can able to see only limited information, whereas teacher can see excess information. How we are going to control that? That will be done with the TCL, transaction control language. So basically, When you want to give the permissions, right? When you want to control the permission, then we'll use TCL along with the DCL. So DCL is for the database, for TCL is for the transactions. Any other questions? Any other questions? Don't worry, we'll see all these things: creation, alteration, truncation, insert, all these things once again in depth. As I said, these are the basics which I'm talking today. When we go in depth, you will see all these things practically. Then the other concept which we use in the database management system is normalization. Don't worry about the right side diagram, it is not clear. Don't worry about it. I'll tell you what is normalization. See, normalization is nothing but the process of removing the redundancies basically. The normalization is nothing but, in basic, we are going to remove the redundant data. What is redundant data? Redundant data is nothing but the duplicate data. Is nothing but duplicate data, right? So instead of having the duplicate data or repeated data, we will use the concept of normalization to remove the duplicate data or to remove the repeated data. So it will be done with the normalization. There are basically 5 normal forms, which we call it as first normal form, second normal form, third normal form, fourth normal form, 5 normal form. And there is also one more called BCNF, which is called Boise code normal form, which is called Boise code normal form. I am not going in depth of it. So I'll explain you maybe tomorrow or day after when we practically practice it. So there are normal forms. In order to avoid the data redundancy, we are going to use the concept of normalization. What is meant by redundancy? Redundancy is nothing but avoiding the duplicate data, avoiding the repetition of same data again and again. To avoid the repetition of same data again and again, we are going to use the normalization process, right? That is called normalization. So basically there are 5 types of normalization, right? 1NF, 2NF, 3NF, 4NF, 5NF. Along with that, we also have one more form called BCNF, which is called Boise code normal form. I'm not going to explain theory of it. You need to prepare theory, because if I explain theory, it alone required 3 days. So I'm going to show you practically how the normal forms will work, right? So this is about the normal forms, normalization process. Yeah, so this is a transaction control process which I am talking about, transaction control system or TCL, which we are talking about. So basically any database management system will be having 4 properties, which is called as ACID properties. Very important for your interview. What is meant by ACID properties? What is meant by ACID property? So when you are performing some transactions on the database, when you are performing some transactions on the database, then you should follow ACID properties. When a database follows all the ACID properties, then you can say that the database is perfect. Then you can say that database is perfect. What is meant by ACID? A is nothing but atomicity, C is nothing but consistency, I is nothing but isolation, D is nothing but durability. Durability. First we'll see one by one. What is atomicity? Right? What is meant by atomicity? So atomicity is nothing but each and every transaction should give some output, or should give the entire output. Should give some output or should give entire output. So the transactions are all or nothing, right? So you should have some transactions which we need to perform to get the database, or there should not be any transactions on the database. Next is consistency. Consistency is nothing but only the valid data will be saved. Only the required essential data will be saved. Right? Next, isolation. The transactions should not affect each other. The transactions should not affect each other. That means the transactions once performed, it is independent to each other. If it is affecting the entire database, then it is not going to be a useful database. Last one is durability. So whatever data we are going to write or we are going to store should not be lost. It should be lifelong. It should be long lasting. Should be long lasting. That is called ACID properties: atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. So in any database management system, so we'll start with the transaction begin, then we'll end the transaction. So till this time we should follow this ACID properties. So here we have taken the example of account. First we are decrementing the saving account by some value 500, where the question will be given as, account number as 3209. This is called query. This is called query. As I said, there is a structured query. So update set where is the structure for the update query, right? So that is how it is going to happen. I'll explain you this when I explain about the database queries. Don't worry. So sorry. So basically, this is called ACID properties. So for every transaction, there will be a begin, there will be an end. You cannot do transaction just like that. You should follow a clear procedure for the transaction processing. You should follow a clear procedure for the transaction processing. Otherwise, it is not possible to perform the activity. It is not possible to perform the activity. And when you are doing the transaction processing, you should follow the ACID properties. Yeah, I'm not going to talk these things because we are running out of time for today. This I will explain you when we go for the practicals. Okay, so concurrency control and locking techniques. Basically, we can create locks on the database. So the locks will make sure that we are not going to lose the data. Concurrency control is nothing but parallelly we are going to execute multiple operations. Parallelly, we are going to execute multiple operations like concurrently. First, it will execute, then next, the output of next will be taken as input to the next. The output of next is taken as input to the next, and it will be processing the data. That this also I'll explain. Okay. So how the database management system should be designed, right? So on who is going to be using when the DBMS is good, who are all the happiest persons? So the end users will be the happiest persons who is going to use your DBMS. Second one is the programmers, and the third one is database administrators, who is going to perform all your operations, who is going to create database, who is going to create tables, who is going to store the data, all those things. So guys, before going further, these are the two major roles what we have for the freshers. One is called database application programmer. Second one is called database administrator. So database administrator is the person who is going to create tables, create data, store the data, all those things. Programmers are the people who is going to use database programming to fetch this data. Who is going to write the queries, who is going to write some programming language based queries, then they'll fetch the data. So those who are not really interested in the programming, they can choose this role, database administrator. So for every company, each and every company, they require database administrators. There is no limitation. So based on the company, they are going to recruit number of database administrators. They are going to recruit number of database administrators. So this is very easiest role because we are going to use only queries. We might be using 95% queries, only 5% we are going to use the programming, right? So why I put this particular one thing is still you not understand because you're not seen clearly what is queries. See, if you are from CS background or IS background, no problem. If you are from some other background, engineering background or degree background, until unless if you practice, you cannot feel that, hey, I am good at database. I am good at database. So that's why once you practice, you will become master in the database. Only the mantra for database management or database administrators is practice. If you remember the queries, if you practice them, that is more than enough. So these are the two roles which we are going to take in the database management system. So before I start the practical sessions, I'm just giving a break of 1 minute. Any questions are there, you can ask with respect to the session which I talked for last 1.5 hours. Any question is there, you can ask through chat box. That would be the best option to avoid the confusion. Any question you can ask. If not, I'll go further. Sir, how to write the queries? That I'm going to talk. The next session, I'm going to talk about how to write the queries. Sir, is queries are predefined? Yes, queries are predefined. The structure is predefined, not query. The structure is predefined. So we are going to use the same structure wherever you're going to write. Suppose if I am writing the query, I should use the same structure. If you are writing the query also, you should use the same structure. There is no difference in that.
Sir, how many queries we should remember? Very good question. This is very important question which you need to answer actually, which you need to ask, I need to answer. See, for your interview purpose, for your placement purpose, you no need to remember all the queries which we are going to talk. If you remember DDL and DML, if you remember DDL, DML diagram which I have shown, right? If you remember that queries, that is more than enough. That is more than enough. So no need to remember all the queries. If you keep on remembering all the queries, you will be under trouble. So remember only DDL, DML queries, which I have shown, like up to 10 to 12 queries. Apart from that, there is an option, there is an alternative, which you can work in the real time. Which you can work in the real time. So please ask only technical questions. Please ask. Someone is asking about Grey Hat Technologies. I am not working in Grey Hat Technologies. So I am just, as a resource person, I am taking this session. So the company is from my student. I am working with college as an assistant professor. No need of sorry. I am working as an assistant professor in a college. I'll be taking the sessions. Okay. The question might have arisen because I'll tell you why. See, I am a basically assistant professor and I have done couple of certifications. I am a Java certified and my Oracle certified and MySQL. I'm taking the certification, but Oracle certified programmer. And also I have certification with respect to IPs. IP is nothing but patent rights. Patent rights also I am doing, right? So it is about like sharing the knowledge. So as I said, he's my student. He asked me to take the session, so I am taking it. Yeah. So I'm just talking about database management system. Sorry for that. Because my intention is I want to answer all the questions. There should not be any question mark in your mind. Okay. So the database queries are not going to be limited. You no need to remember all the queries. You can, there is a way where you can work, right? Once you join the industry also, you no need to worry, sir, I know only limited queries. I know only this many queries. No, there is a procedure I'm going to show you on the third day, which you can make use of to become master every moment. Every moment you can recollect and you can do it. There is a procedure. So that I'm going to show you. Any other questions? Sir, are you going to teach DDL, DML? Yes, I'm going to teach DDL, DML, DCL also. Some of the TCLs also. All four I'm going to teach you. Don't worry. Any further questions? Okay, fine. Okay, guys. So no other questions. If something comes up, I'll answer. So now I'm going to talk, or I'm going to discuss much about practicals, because I want, as I said, like it is going to be something like hands-on session. I want to do it. See, there are two ways you can install MySQL. Either you can install MySQL directly. You can download from the MySQL website. So if you go and type in the Google MySQL, so you will get the MySQL. So directly you can go to that website, mysql.com, right? So then you can download the MySQL latest version. You can go here to downloads. Then you can see here MySQL databases, everything is available. As I said, now it is acquired by Oracle. That's why they are made it as paid version. Otherwise, previously it is free version, but still we have trial versions also. So you can see here trial download. So you can go to trial download. So you can see here now it is moving to Oracle website. Then you need to register yourself and then you can download the MySQL. This is one way of doing it. See, same MySQL developers has created one more database called MariaDB. MariaDB is same like MySQL only. It is same like MySQL, which is also going to work in the same queries. Whatever queries we are going to run will be run in the MySQL as well as MariaDB. So my suggestion is don't go with this procedure. If you want to go with this, you can do it. If not, you go directly to the XAMPP. I think most of you know about this software, which is called XAMPP. So XAMPP, why I am telling is it comes with the three packages or three things. One is MySQL, PHP, and Apache Server, which will really solve your purpose. You can easily understand, you can easily work. And most of the industries also, they are using XAMPP and WAMP servers. XAMPP and WAMP servers they are using for their real-time application development. So here itself we'll get MySQL. No need to go to separately installing. So now I'm going to show you the installation. I'm going to install XAMPP. So you can download this one free of cost, XAMPP also. So I'll just give yes for this, then I'll show you. So go here. You can type for XAMPP, XAMPP. Yeah. So XAMPP. So we will go to Apache Friends, installers and downloaders. So you can download the XAMPP. You can see here. One thing I just want to suggest is those who want to work with PHP with the XAMPP. Those who want to work with PHP with the XAMPP, please don't download 7.4.6 version. You go to the lower version of it. You go to the lower version, maybe 5.2 or something. Because PHP 7.4.6 is not yet upgraded to all the levels. So better you go with the PHP 5.4 or 5.6. That would be fine. So you can see other versions also you can see. So if you go here, yeah, you can see here this is for the 7 PHP 7. Instead of that, you go with still lower versions are there actually. Yeah, one which I am using is 5.6 PHP 5.6 which I am using. Okay, 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 fine, no problem. What I'm talking about is so don't download MySQL directly. Go to the XAMPP and then download it. How to go to the XAMPP? Just go to Google, type XAMPP. Then you will go to the XAMPP website, which is apachefriends.com or apachefriends.org. Here you can get the downloads. So either download the latest version if you are working only with the MySQL. You can see here it comes with Apache, MariaDB, and PHP. MariaDB is nothing but same like MySQL. The developers of MySQL, they developed MariaDB, right? So you can download any of these versions based on your operating system, or you can also go for the old versions which you can download. So meanwhile, what I said is I already downloaded PHP 5.6 version. So I'm just going to install this. See, this XAMPP package will be between 100 to 150 MB. If you download it, 100 to 150 MB. So those who want to practice in the online when I am training, you install in your laptop for tomorrow. I'll show you. You can start working parallelly, right? So once you create it, so you will get this one. You just give OK. Then go to next. So you can see here MySQL is coming, Apache is coming. So FileZilla is coming, Mercury, Tomcat, PHP, Perl, all these things it will support. So go ahead, next. So where you want to install, you give that path. Then next, that's it. No need of any extra installation steps and all. Just next, next, next. Right now it is going to install my SQL, I mean XAMPP, along with the MySQL and PHP. Right, it will take a couple of minutes. It will take a couple of minutes. Then you can start working with the XAMPP. So when I install it, you will get this page open. This page will get open. And so other way of downloading only MySQL is, so go to Google. I'm not telling about XAMPP. Please don't get confused. How to download MySQL directly. So go to Google, MySQL. Okay. So just give MySQL download. So if you go to Oracle website, again you should have the Oracle login. You can create it. It's free of cost only. You can do that. Or if you can go to, you can see here File Hippo. So go to File Hippo. You can also download here. So you can download here. So go to File Hippo and then you can download the latest version of MySQL. So meanwhile, I'll just see. So it is installing. So it is 187 MB. It will download. I'm going to show you both how to work with XAMPP server. How to go work with MySQL also. Today I'll install. Tomorrow I'll show you this also. Not a problem. So it will take at least 5 to 6 minutes to install because it need to retrieve all the packages which are essential for the XAMPP. I mean, which are essential for the MySQL and the PHP. So meanwhile, let it get installed. I'm going to show you some of the important things which you need to know. So as I said, IBM has its own database called IBM DB2. IBM DB2 is from IBM. So this is one of the database management software or database management system software which we are using from the IBM. So this is having a highest priority. See, those who want to really get into DBMS as a database administrator, try to have fair knowledge on the IBM DB2 also. It is not that popular in India. It is getting popularized. Maybe it will take another 5 to 6 years to get it popularized in the Indian market. But other countries, they are using it. Other countries, they are using the IBM DB2 also. But in India, we are not using up to the maximum extent, right? And the reason I just came to this website is I just want to show this one. I think video is visible to everybody. So you can see this. How a database administrator will be keep on working in the databases. How he is going to work.
Discover a future where AI is
So
real.
you can see that is the data centers. These are the database racks.
For information
See,
complexity,
this is the IBM data center which is there in the US.
these be simple and
These-
accessible, enabling you to unlock the value of data in new ways. Surface hidden intelligence to transform how your business operates. Predict, automate, and optimize for better business outcomes. Reimagine and easily deploy new business models. Speed in public or private cloud as containers and blockchain. And self-tuning and evidence-based query with the new generation of more control and flexibility. IBM DB2, the AI database. AI.
Yeah. So my intention is to show you how the data center looks like. So once you become database administrator in any one of the big organization, you will work with these database centers. I mean data centers where you will be having the racks to store the data. We'll be processing that data and you will be working with that. So you need to have your own laptop. Some restrictions will be you are not supposed to carry your mobile phone inside. You are not supposed to wear all your shoes and all. There will be separate chappals which you need to wear to get into the data centers. And you are not supposed to carry any kind of gadgets like USB pen drive, CD drive, all those things, and smartwatch also. So they'll be working separately in the data centers. See, there might be data centers nearest to you, but you don't know where his data center is. So that is the one thing. And next thing is, I just want to talk about those who are really want to work with cloud computing with the database. Then you learn much about MongoDB. Learn much about MongoDB. So MongoDB is one of the popular database which will be used, which is using for the cloud computing. When you want to work with the cloud computing, this is the best database software which we are using called MongoDB. But the best part of MongoDB is MongoDB will use maximum same syntax like MySQL. Maximum same syntax like MySQL. But it will be developed or deployed on the cloud. Those who want to get into cloud, you can start learning about MongoDB also. MongoDB also you can learn. So you may ask questions, or how many databases I should learn. So that is the reason I am telling, don't learn maximum. Try to have fair knowledge on the MySQL. Try to have fair knowledge on the MySQL. The companies will give you the training. When they give you the training, to get cope up with that training, you should have the knowledge of MySQL. If your MySQL is perfect, then you can learn any other database very easily. You can learn any other database very easily. But if you don't know the MySQL, learning other databases is very difficult. Trust me. It is something like if you want to learn Java, you cannot learn it directly. If you know C programming, you can easily learn Java, right? So that is how it will be done. So that is the reason. So start learning MySQL clearly, then you can become master in the any other database management system software, right? So those who are having the laptop, try to install XAMPP for tomorrow's class, where you can start working with queries. And also, if you want to install MySQL, also you can install the MySQL, not a problem. Both the ways we are going to show you the execution. So this is about the MongoDB. So how the MongoDB is going to work. Actually, I had the XAMPP to show you the execution. I mean installation, I uninstalled it. Otherwise, I had already, I could have started directly the queries. But I want to show you from the scratch. So that is the reason I did it. So this is the MongoDB, which you need to understand the basics of MongoDB for to become the cloud developer. Cloud developer, if you want to become, you can go with the MongoDB. Then, so another thing is, I'm just going to share you one material after the completion of workshop, which is going to be full database management system with Oracle and MySQL. Anywhere you can execute it. So which is going to have end-to-end information. If you practice that entire material once, you can easily become database developer or database administrator. You can easily become, because it is covering all the topics which you are supposed to learn as a fresher. So that's why I'm just going to share that at the end of the workshop to all these participants who are attending this session. You can also share with your friends. I don't mind. It's up to you. So then, types of DBMS, DBMS software. So there is no limitation in the market. We have so many. You can see here, starting from MySQL as a master leader. You can see MySQL is the first one. Microsoft Access also one database. Oracle, PostgreSQL, DBase, FoxPro, SQLite, IBM DB2. There are so many, not limited. Every day one database also coming. Like might not be every day, at least yearly once one new database is coming in the market. But MySQL is the leader in the database industry as of today for last 15-20 years. So is it installed? Yeah, it is taking some more time because parallelly we are doing two things. So any questions from your side you can ask. Any questions from your side you can ask. Not only with respect to content what I said, with respect to career, with respect to database career also you can ask. I'll be happy to answer. Because tomorrow and day after tomorrow it is going to be fully practical session. Once it get installed today, I'll show you how the installation rebinding will take place. So tomorrow and day after tomorrow, fully hands-on, where we are going to work with so many queries. I don't know how much why it is taking extra time. Usually by this time it should get installed. Today it is taking some extra time. So please bear with me for another 2 minutes. It will get installed. I'll show you the next step so that tomorrow we'll be ready with everything. No need to waste time tomorrow again. Just bear with me for 5 minutes. It will get installed. Okay, there is one question. Meanwhile, I'll just answer. In order to get into this field, is it sufficient to practice whatever you give material at the end of the workshop, or should we join paid courses? Please don't join any kind of paid courses. Whatever material I'm going to give, if you practice, that is more than enough. please don't spend money on the DBMS courses. If you really want to spend some money, I suggest you spend for something else, probably for your aptitude test or something. Don't spend money for the DBMS. Whatever I'm going to train you, if you practice in the next 2 days, that is more than enough. That is more than enough. You can become master with that material, what I'm going to share. What I'm going to share, it will be more than enough. Please don't join any kind of paid courses. Don't waste money on that. So instead, if you pay for some aptitude training, which will be useful for you. So I'll just copy this. So any other questions you can ask. Now the time is there, another 2 to 3 minutes it will get installed. Please ask any questions with respect to career also. And recently I have conducted one session for the Sri Krishna Institute of Technology, how to build the career. I don't know how many of you attended. If anyone attended, fine. If you're not attended, the video is uploaded in the YouTube. You can go and see that video. I'll share you the link. You can go and see that video. I spoke much about how to prepare for the interviews, what are all you need to prepare, where you need to prepare, what are the sources available, and how to prepare. And some tips also I have given out of my experience, how to do it. So that link also you can, I mean, you go and search my name in the YouTube, you will get Satyanarayana Mathur Surya Narayana. That is a career YouTube video, which you can make use of it for your career. So this I'll show you tomorrow, because if I show now again the problem will come. Sir, is coding necessary for the on-campus recruitment? See, for on-campus recruitment, some companies only will ask for the coding. Most of the companies will ask for the theory, basics of the programming languages, all those things. Most of the companies, they won't ask for the coding experience. I mean, doing coding and all. Very few companies they'll ask coding. That's why I'm telling you, go and see that video. You will get a clear picture. I spoke almost 1.5 hours about all these things. If you see that video, you can easily get it. So tomorrow class, I'll post the link also. I'll take that link and I'll show you. Or if I have now within next 2 minutes until it will get installed, we'll see. If I get it, I'll show you. See, coding, try to have basic knowledge about C programming. That is sufficient as a fresher. No need to have experienced or expertise coding. But concepts you should understand, what is data structures, all those things. That is very important. Yeah, you can see in the chat box. I just shared the link. After this class or whenever you are free, you can see to it, because it is just done 1 week ago. There are some good number of students who is watching and understanding. So you can also make use of it. Just a minute, 1 minute, it will get completed, not more than that. See, those who are preparing for software companies, either from CSIS or any other background, don't concentrate much on the coding part alone. So you need to concentrate so many things actually. So I mentioned those things in that video. You can view, you can watch that video, which will be really interesting. It will give some information. I'm not telling because I created it. Out of my experiences, what I shared from my students, I have done that. So taken the session. I want all of you to view at least once, so you will get fair idea what you need to prepare for the placement. Especially those who are in the 6th sem, it will be very good advantage for you to see that video, because the session is also conducted for the 6th sem students. And also those who have not attended Python workshop, they can also see the Python videos here, which I have updated. Usually it won't take much time. I don't know why it is taking so much of time today. Yeah, it's almost done. See, after installation is very important in XAMPP. You should know that only mainly. This installation is like next. So you no need to worry about it. So after this, what we need to do, that is very important. Yeah. So once it is done, you just click on and uncheck it. So finish. So how to open XAMPP, I'm going to show you now. So go to, if you are in Windows 10, go to this, click on XAMPP. Type XAMPP, you will get control panel. If you are in Windows 7 or Windows 8, so go to start bar and you can see the XAMPP is installed somewhere. So there you can go and say XAMPP control panel. So this is the control panel which we are going to use to start our services. So when you click on control panel, first time it will ask for the language. So you just give US, save, whatever language is there, save. You can see here, now it is started. Now it is started. See, already I have some services, that's why it is telling port number problem. See, now we want MySQL, just click on start. So click on start. Now the MySQL is going to start. If you already having the Skype, or if you already having the Oracle in your machine, laptop or system, then you will get error like this. Why I'm getting this error is port 8080 is used by someone else. So same way you will get for the MySQL also. So if this port number is used by someone else, 3306, then you will get the error. If you get that error, go to config, go to service and port settings, go to config, go to service and port settings, go to MySQL. Here you can change this number. You can change it to whatever number you want. 4-digit number you can make it. Now in my scenario, 80 is used by someone else. So I am not able to start this. So I just make it as 8082. And Apache also, I'll make it as 8090. See, these are called port numbers. Port number is nothing but it is Apache server. So that's why we are giving the port number. So I can start any service which I want. So I can start Apache. See, now it is started. I can also start Tomcat. But for our workshop, we required only MySQL. If you are not getting any error in the MySQL, that is more than enough. That is more than enough. Right? So once you start it, if your MySQL is getting started properly, then you go here in the browser, just type localhost. So localhost, then enter. So it is not coming because my port number has been changed. So I have changed the port number. So you need to give that port number, localhost 8090. Sorry, localhost 8090. Sorry. not started. My Apache is showing some error. It's going. Yeah, this I'll show you tomorrow. Some conflict is happening. Some other software is getting conflicted. But this is the installation, how to install the XAMPP. And once you install, you start MySQL and Apache. So that is more than enough. Then I'll show you what is the next procedure in the tomorrow class. So how to work with the Apache, all those things. So those who are having laptop, please install the XAMPP. If you don't get any error, no problem. You keep it as it is. Tomorrow class, I'm going to show you how to work with that. Right? So I'm just going to end this session for today. Thanks for your patience joining for almost 2 hours session. All of you. Any further questions also tomorrow you can ask. Right? So I'm going to share the materials at the end of the workshop. All the PPTs or materials, whatever I have. So thanks for your patience. I'm just going to end the session. Thank you. Thank you so much.